Hey, beautiful souls, Taku here. So, as the title says, I'm going to explain the difference between how people who are neurotypical experience the world and neurodivergent people experience the world. It's only one single facet, and it's just going to be a fraction of that facet. But what I'm going to say, I believe, if I'm able to convey it correctly, will explain quite a bit. So, I am on Instagram Reels every day. I'm gonna be honest, I'm on there every day. I really love laughing. Instagram Reels have a lot of fucking funny videos. And because I'm neurodivergent, I get and see a lot of neurodivergent content. Whether it be about autism, ADHD, OCD, schizophrenia, depression, anxiety, there's like lots of neurodivergent stuff that's beyond just autism and ADHD. Anyway, so a common thing I see in the comments of those videos is people who are neurotypical or non-ADHD, non-autistic is, I don't have ADHD, I don't have autism, but I experience these things, so it is an ADHD thing. It isn't an autism thing. What's the deal? And for a while now, I've been trying to come to find a way to explain the difference. I've had the answer, but I've never really had the words to, say what the difference is. But I finally do. And in my view, my perspective, the difference between how people who are neurotypical experience the world and how people who are neurodivergent experience the world is intensity and frequency. Those I've noticed are the main differences. I don't know why that was so hard to put into words for so long, but it was when I said it. I was like, oh, holy shit. Anyway, so when I say intensity, say, let's take major depression. Everyone experiences depression, but not many people know that depression is a form of neurodivergence. It's a chemical imbalance, but that shit lasts for life. That's why it takes so damn much to just try and stabilize it. It's literally a wiring in the brain. I mean, it isn't that simple, but generally speaking, it's a chemical imbalance in the brain. It's a difference in wiring. That's why saying with someone who has actual fucking depression, you can't just say, hey, go outside, go for a walk, do exercise, like eat good. It'll help incrementally. It absolutely will help. I will admit that. I do MMA. I train all the time. I do fucking treadmill sprints. I jog 5 miles twice a week. I'm very active. It's insane. But I still get hit with waves of depression. I mean, I get hit with small waves as I've gotten older, as I've matured emotionally, as I've matured mentally and have a handle on the shit I deal with. I've been able to handle the waves a lot easier. So the ones that used to be like 8s are now like 4s, 3s. But the waves that are 9s, 9.5s are always going to be 9s and 9.5s. Those are the really heavy ones that be like, man, I want to die. Like, you may or might not mean actual suicide, but even if you don't mean suicide, you're still exhausted fighting because you're just fucking tired. You're dealing with all these feelings and shit while being exhausted, fatigued, but you still have to work, you still have bills to pay, you still have duties that you have to do while dealing with your heavy ass shit. So it's fucking exhausting. It's like, man, I don't want to be alive right now. A long ass nap would be good. So when it comes to that, that's intensity. So let's put on a scale from 1 to 10, 5 being the average, since that's midway through. I see that as the average. Anyway, so say someone who's neurotypical experience like a 6 or a 7, as a really hard fucking episode. Someone who's neurodivergent or has depression, the actual difference in wiring, their average is going to be 7, if not 8. Because this is why I say for us, the really hard ones, the hard ones are always 9s at minimum. Shit, it's why I say intensity we experience actual depression much more intensely. It hits a lot harder. It hits a lot more frequently. For people who are neurotypical, they may experience it twice a year, maybe a few times a year. But someone who's neurodivergent, it's gonna at least once or twice a week, if not like a few times a fucking week. It's very, very frequent, which is why people who are neurodivergent are also often exhausted, often have chronic fatigue, because we are battling our own inside stuff while having to function, have full-time jobs, have kids, school, work 60 hours a week, 35 hours. It's exhausting, which unfortunately is why the life rate is lower. It isn't that we die sooner, it's just that we die, well, we don't die younger, like we live a full life at 50 and we're dead. We just, if someone who's neurodivergent does die at say 55 or 60 when they're healthy, on the outside, the inside, it could be just lifelong fatigue, lifelong exhaustion, lifelong depression or anxiety that was never looking at or taken care of. Life just shit that we deal with can shorten our life if not dealt with early enough, unfortunately. So intensity, things hit harder and more frequency. Take sensory overload. Everyone experiences overwhelm. No matter who you are, we're all humans. Some humans may have a stronger or a longer enduring engine than others. Some can hold on to more shit a lot longer, but we're all human at the end of the day. So everyone has that point where they need to rest. And if we don't, our body's gonna start crashing. Everyone has that. Everyone experiences burnout. But someone who's autistic, burnout is very, very easy. It doesn't, for some, it's just as much as working a 4-hour day. I have a full-time job. On average, I work about 40, 50 hours a week. And so take day one, I can work about I do 10-hour days regularly, and I'm exhausted by hour like 5. But since I've been doing this, how long now, working for 10 years, so I'm used to it. And thanks to doing sports, I'm able to set a good pace. I focus on energy conservation and efficiency, so that way I work at a good rate, but it isn't a really high rate, because if I work at a high rate, I get exhausted a lot faster, which means I get exhausted a lot faster. I can't work. So I found a rate eventually where, okay, this isn't the most amazing rate of work, but it's a good job. It's noticed. I get, good job, whatever. I'm called on, for extra tasks, but I don't exhaust myself because I'm on my limit. But by day 4 though is when I start to, like, even though I'm still working a good rate, okay, I'm starting to actually feel it. So I have to, work at an even slower rate so I can make that day and then the next day. So burnout for people who are neurodivergent is very, very frequent. The intensity may be the same, maybe. I don't think so, but even if it was the same, people who are neurodivergent are going to experience burnout much more often, because we're taking in stuff from work, we're dealing with our own emotional stuff, stimuli from light, sounds, smells. It's just, everything is stimuli. It's all being taken in. So it's that we've got our own stuff. It's just, so burnout is a lot easier. Love. So there's this album by this band called Substructure. They have a EP called Monolith. I found it in 2012. So that was 11 years ago. Ever since then, I've listened to it at least like 4 or 5 times a week, every fucking week. And that's very literal. And if I wasn't scared of killing it, I listen to it every day. But I do 5 days a week, so that way I have off of it for 2 days. Even though I'm off it for just 2 days, that 2 days feels like a month. So whenever I listen to it again after 2 days, it feels like it's been a month or two, and it just feels so amazing. So when someone who's neurodivergent actually loves something, whether it's a person, their pet, just animal, whatever, like when we love something, when we like something, we really fucking like something, which is also why I have focused so long on emotional regulation, even though it's still really hard. I have a good handle on the surface, but inside, I'm fighting a very tough battle. It's hard. I'm 29. I'll be 30 in 2 months, but I still feel like a child and a teenager. Like I still am very in touch with like 4-year-old me, and I'd say 15-year-old me. So when I'm reading about physics or anything I love when I'm drawing, I feel 4. But when I'm dealing with triggers, when I'm dealing with folks who say things I don't like, is when I feel 14. When I get an order that I don't like from authority, I feel 14. Yeah, but when it comes to adult stuff, I'm learning very slowly. I've had no one to teach me, so I'm learning, but getting better. So yeah, just things are experienced much more intensely. They're experienced much more frequently as well. Whether it's one or both of a thing, it's always experienced much more intensely, much more frequently. Do I have any more examples? Stemming. Everyone stems. Say, you're moving your leg while sitting. Someone who's neurodivergent, whether it's always. I'm very reserved. I'm very quiet. I don't talk at all unless I have anything to say or add a conversation. But despite how reserved I am, whenever I sit, my leg is always moving. Something is always moving. That's not nervous energy. That's not anxious energy. It's just energy that has nowhere to go at that moment. So it's coming out in my fingers, it's coming out in my leg movements, coming out in some kind of way, which is also why I think people who are neurodivergent really need to have something, they enjoy that they do regularly, so that way their energy, they can channel it in some kind of way. I've always believed, well, I mean, it's a fact that energy is everything and everything is energy, including us. Even though we appear physical, we're still made of energy. So it's always moving. So it has to go somewhere. So if you're moving, it has to go somewhere. So whether it's drawing, crochet, anything, well, not murder, of course, but just find something. So that way, when you're not tired, you have somewhere to have the energy go. And you never know, you may come across a new passion. One thing opens another door. Anyway, yeah, so the answer is we experience things much more intensely and much more frequently.